Commander Olivia Wright stood by the large window of the space station, her eyes fixed on the stars beyond. Behind her, the doors of the meeting room slid shut with a soft hiss. The peace talks were over. "Commander," a voice called from behind, "the Zentari ships are preparing to leave." Olivia turned to face her aide, Lieutenant Paul Bennett. His young face showed concern. "Let them go," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes revealed deep worry. "Tell our ships to keep a safe distance. No sudden moves." On the main screen, 7 alien ships moved away from the station. Their sharp, crystal-like shapes reflected the distant sun. The Zentari delegation had made their position clear. Earth must give up its new space drive technology, or face being cut off from all trade with other worlds. Olivia walked to her control panel and pressed a button. "Get me the president." Within minutes, President Elaine Foster's face appeared on the screen. Her gray hair was pulled back, and deep lines marked her forehead. "I take it the talks didn't go well," the president said. "No, Madam President. The Zentari won't budge. They want our Alcubierre drive technology, and they want it now. They've given us 72 hours to decide." The president closed her eyes briefly. "And if we refuse? They'll block all our ships from using the jump gates. We'll be stuck in our own solar system." A heavy silence filled the room. Earth's colonies on Mars and Europa needed regular supplies. Being cut off from the jump gates would mean slow, years-long journeys instead of instant travel between star systems. "Is Admiral Garcia ready with his contingency plan?" the president asked carefully. Olivia nodded. "Operation Stardust is ready, but once we reveal what we have, there's no going back. The coalition will see it as a threat. I'll call an emergency meeting. Be ready to present our options in 3 hours." As the screen went dark, Olivia felt the weight of what was coming. 20 years of careful diplomacy with the alien races of the coalition ended in a single day. Her personal communicator beeped. It was a message from her brother, Dr. Nathan Wright, on Mars. Olivia moved to a private room before opening it. Nathan's face appeared, tired and worried. "Liv, I heard the talks failed. Is it true?" "Yes, they want the drive technology." Nathan ran a hand through his hair. "They don't understand what they're asking for. If they knew what the Alcubierre drive was truly capable of, they wouldn't be making threats." Olivia leaned closer to the screen. "What do you mean? What have you discovered?" "I can't say over this channel, but we found a way to modify the drive. It's not just about faster travel anymore. It could change everything." A chill ran down Olivia's spine. Her brother was the leading scientist on the Alcubierre project. If he was worried, then the situation was worse than she thought. "Be careful, Nathan. The coalition might be watching the Mars colony closely now." "I know. I sent you some files, heavily encrypted. Look at them when you're alone." After the call ended, Olivia stared at the stars again. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 30 years ago. They were still seen as newcomers, barely tolerated by the older races, but humans had done what they always did. They adapted, learned quickly, and invented new solutions to old problems. The Alcubierre drive was proof of that. While other races used the ancient jump gates built by some long-gone civilization, humans had found their own way to bend space. And now, the coalition feared them for it. Olivia squared her shoulders and headed to the command center. War was coming. She could feel it. And when it did, humanity would need to be ready. In 3 hours, she would help decide the fate of Earth. And whatever they chose, the universe would never be the same again. Admiral Frank Garcia walked slowly through the massive underground hangar. His footsteps echoed on the metal floor. Around him, workers moved with purpose, checking systems and loading supplies. The ice ceiling of Europa, Jupiter's moon, was hundreds of feet above them, hiding their activities from prying eyes. "Impressive, isn't it?" he asked as President Foster and Commander Wright caught up to him. Before them stood rows of sleek warships, their dark metal hulls gleaming under the bright lights. Workers swarmed around them like ants, readying the fleet for battle. "How long have you been building these?" President Foster asked, her eyes wide. 15 years, Admiral Garcia replied. "Ever since we discovered the first Centauri spy vessels watching Earth, we knew then that we needed to be ready." The three of them walked toward the largest ship at the center of the hangar. Its size made the others look small by comparison. "This is the UES Defiance," Garcia said with pride. "The most advanced warship humans have ever built." Olivia ran her hand along the smooth hull. "Does it have the modified Alcubierre drive my brother mentioned?" "An early version," Garcia nodded. "Your brother's new discoveries will make it even more powerful." President Foster walked around the massive ship, her face serious. "How soon can the fleet be ready to deploy?" 72 hours, Madam President. The same deadline the Centauri gave us. Foster's eyes narrowed. "Is that a coincidence?" "No," Garcia admitted. "We've had spies in their communication network. We knew this day would come." As they continued their tour, Olivia noticed something odd about the ships. "There are no visible weapons," she said. Garcia smiled slightly. "That's because the ship itself is the weapon. The Alcubierre drive doesn't just move us through space faster than light. It can be used to change space itself." In a small briefing room inside the Defiance, Garcia showed them the full plans. The screen displayed complex diagrams that made even Olivia's head spin. "Once your brother's final modifications are complete," Garcia explained, "these ships will be able to appear anywhere in space instantly. No jump gates needed. We could place a ship directly in orbit around any world in the Coalition without warning." President Foster sat down heavily. "The Coalition fears us because they know what we're capable of. They want our technology not to use it, but to make sure we can't use it against them." "Exactly," Garcia agreed. "The Centauri have ruled the Coalition for centuries. They don't want competition." Later that evening, on board the space station where they would spend the night, Olivia found communications specialist Ryan Martins working late in the command center. "Any news from the Coalition?" she asked. Ryan looked up from his screens. "They're scrambling their fleets, moving ships to their border worlds." He showed her a map with dozens of red dots moving across it. "And I found something strange in their communications." "What is it?" "They keep referring to something called the human paradox. They seem scared, Commander. Not just cautious, but truly afraid of us." Olivia frowned. "We've never threatened them. We've followed all their rules since joining the galactic community." "That's just it," Ryan said. "I think what scares them is how quickly we've advanced. The Centauri took 1,000 years to develop their first space drive. We did it in less than a century after discovering electricity." Olivia thought about her brother's work on Mars and the fleet hidden under Europa's ice. Humanity had always been good at keeping secrets, at working quietly until they were ready to reveal their strength. "Get some rest," she told Ryan. "Tomorrow, we make our decision." As she looked out at the stars from her window, Olivia knew humanity stood at a crossroads. They could surrender their technology and accept the Coalition's control, or they could show the galaxy just what humans were capable of when pushed. And based on what she had seen today, the universe had no idea what was coming. Dr. Nathan Wright wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the holographic display. The red dome of the Mars research colony kept the harsh environment out, but inside, the tension was just as thick as the dust storms that raged beyond the walls. "Run the simulation again," Nathan told his computer. The 3D model of space-time twisted and folded before his eyes. Numbers scrolled rapidly along the sides of the display. Dr. Samantha Powell entered the lab, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Nathan. "You've been at this for 20 hours straight. You need to rest." Nathan took a sip of the hot liquid. "No time. The Coalition has given Earth a deadline. We need this to work." Samantha looked at the display. The simulation showed a small ship creating what looked like a tear in the fabric of space. "Is that what I think it is?" Yes, Nathan said. It's not just a drive anymore. We found a way to create artificial wormholes. Small ones, but stable. That's impossible, Samantha whispered. The energy requirements alone would be massive for anyone else, Nathan finished. But not with our modified Alcubierre field. It folds space differently than any other known technology. The two scientists watched as the simulation completed. The ship in the model appeared instantly on the other side of the star system, without traveling through the space between. Do you understand what this means? Nathan asked, his eyes bright with excitement and fear. This doesn't just let us travel faster than light. It lets us appear anywhere, instantly. No jump gates, no predictable routes. Samantha sat down, her face pale. No wonder the Zentari want this technology. With this, you could place a ship, or a weapon, directly inside an enemy's defenses. Nathan nodded. And that's why we can't give it to them. The Zentari have controlled the jump gates for 1,000 years. It's how they maintain power over the other races. Our technology makes their control meaningless. He pulled up a new screen showing a message from his sister Olivia. The president is making her decision in 12 hours. We need to send her our complete findings. As they worked to prepare their data, the colony's security chief, Alan Peterson, burst into the lab. His face was grim, and his hand rested on his sidearm. "We've got a problem," he said. "Our long-range sensors just picked up 6 ships approaching Mars. They're using stealth technology, but our new scanners detected them." "Coalition ships?" Samantha asked. Alan nodded. "Most likely Zentari. They're not responding to hails, and they're not on any approved flight path." Nathan's fingers flew across his keyboard. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes, maybe less." Nathan looked at the progress bar on his screen. The data package to Earth was only 60% complete. "We need more time." Alan checked his weapon. "I'll alert the defense systems. We have 2 patrol ships in orbit. Not much against 6 Zentari vessels, but they might buy us some time." As Alan left, Samantha moved to her own station. "I'll try to speed up the data compression. You focus on the most important findings." Outside, the Martian sky darkened as the colony's defensive shields activated. Red warning lights began to flash throughout the facility. Nathan worked frantically, selecting the key parts of their research to send to Earth. If the Coalition was willing to attack a research station, the situation was worse than he had imagined. "Almost there," he said as the progress bar reached 85%. The first explosion rocked the colony. Dust fell from the ceiling, and alarms blared through the speakers. "They're targeting the communication array," Samantha said, checking the security feed. "They know what we're doing." Nathan made a decision. He moved to the emergency transmitter, a high-powered system designed to send a single compressed burst of data directly to Earth. It would burn out after one use, but it might get through. "Help me connect this," he told Samantha. As they worked, the sound of explosions grew closer. The colony shook with each impact. The data package reached 95% complete. "We're going to make it," Nathan said. And then the lab wall exploded inward. Olivia Wright sat perfectly still as the president delivered the news. The underground room beneath the Pentagon was silent except for President Foster's voice. "The Mars research colony was attacked 2 hours ago," the president said. Her face was pale, her voice steady but strained. 37 people were killed. Olivia felt her heart stop. "Nathan?" she asked, barely able to form the word. The president's eyes filled with sadness. "I'm sorry, Commander. Dr. Wright and Dr. Powell were in the main laboratory when it took a direct hit." The room spun around Olivia. Her brother, her only family, was gone. She gripped the edge of the table, forcing herself to stay focused. Did they manage to transmit their research?" she asked. Strategic Director Victor Patel nodded. "Yes, we received the complete data package moments before the attack. Your brother succeeded in his mission." Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Nathan had known the risks. He had given his life to ensure Earth had the information it needed. The attack changes everything, President Foster continued. The coalition didn't just make threats. They struck first, attacking unarmed scientists on our own territory. Admiral Garcia, who had been standing by the wall screen, stepped forward. The Zentari ships retreated immediately after the attack. They're already halfway to the jump gate. They think they've destroyed the research, Director Patel said. They don't know we have the data. President Foster looked around the table at her advisors. I've called you here to inform you of my decision. Operation Stardust is now active. Admiral Garcia, you have authorization to deploy the fleet. The room was silent. Everyone understood what this meant. There was no going back now. Commander Wright, the President said, turning to Olivia. Given your knowledge of both the diplomatic situation and the technical aspects of the Alcubierre drive, I'm placing you in command of the operation. Olivia straightened in her chair. Madam President, I know you're grieving, Foster said gently. But we need you. Your brother's work will be the key to our response. Later, on board the UES Defiance, Olivia stood on the bridge as the crew prepared the ship for departure. Engineers were already incorporating Nathan's research into the ship's systems. Admiral Garcia joined her by the main viewport. The crew is ready, he said. They know what's at stake. Olivia nodded. We'll be testing Nathan's modifications in actual space. The simulations look promising, but this is still experimental technology. Your brother was certain it would work, Garcia said. That's good enough for me. The ship hummed as the engines powered up. Below them, through the viewport, Europa's icy surface gleamed in the distant sunlight. One by one, the other ships of the hidden fleet lifted from their underground hangars. All ships report ready, Commander, said the communications officer. Olivia took a deep breath. Send a message to all captains. Our mission is to demonstrate our capabilities, not to engage in combat unless attacked. We want to show strength, not start a war. Yes, Commander. Admiral Garcia addressed the bridge crew. Today, humanity faces an existential threat. The coalition believes they can intimidate us into submission. They're about to learn how humans respond to bullies. Olivia looked down at the datapad in her hand. Nathan's final message was still there, along with the complete research file. Her brother had discovered that the modified drive could do more than create small wormholes. With the right adjustments, a ship could appear simultaneously in multiple locations, a capability that would change warfare forever. Set course for the edge of the solar system, she ordered. Once clear of Jupiter's gravity, we'll test the modified drive. As the Defiance and its escort ships moved away from Europa, Olivia stared at the stars ahead. The coalition had made a fatal mistake. They had attacked humans, thinking they could frighten Earth into submission. Instead, they had only ensured that humanity would show no mercy. 3 days after leaving Europa, Commander Olivia Wright stood before the main screen on the bridge of the UES Defiance. The ship had reached the edge of the solar system, far from any monitoring stations that might detect their tests. All systems are ready, Commander, reported Chief Engineer Diane Kelly. We've incorporated your brother's modifications into the drive. Olivia nodded. She had spent the past days studying Nathan's research, understanding what he had discovered. The Alcubierre drive didn't just bend space, it could fold it completely, creating passages where none existed before. Begin the test sequence, she ordered. The ship hummed as the drive powered up. On the screen, a simulation showed what was happening to the space around them. The fabric of reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Drive at 50%, Diane reported. Field is stable. Olivia felt nothing, but the stars on the screen blurred briefly. When they came back into focus, the navigation officer gasped. Commander, we've moved 3 light years in less than a second. The bridge crew broke into cheers. The test had worked better than they had hoped. Take us back to our starting point, Olivia ordered. Let's see if we can make precise jumps. Again, the stars blurred. When they refocused, they were exactly where they had started. "Amazing," Admiral Garcia said, joining Olivia by the main controls. "With this technology, we can reach any point in the galaxy almost instantly." Olivia nodded, but that's not all it can do. She turned to Diane. "Prepare for Phase 2 of the test." This time, when the drive activated, something different happened. The ship seemed to shimmer like a reflection in moving water. "Drive at 70%, Diane said, creating quantum field as specified in Dr. Wright's notes. On the external cameras, Olivia could see what looked like ghost images of the Defiance appearing around the ship, identical copies that moved in perfect sync with the original. "We're reading 4 identical energy signatures," said the sensor officer. "The system can't tell which one is the real ship." Olivia smiled slightly. "That's because they're all real, at least in a way. The drive is placing the ship in multiple points in space-time simultaneously." Admiral Garcia stared at the screen. "So we can not only appear anywhere instantly, we can appear everywhere at once," Olivia finished. "And each version is solid enough to fire weapons or deploy troops if needed." 2 hours later, Olivia addressed the captains of all 20 ships in the fleet via secure communication. She explained the new capabilities and outlined her plan. "The Coalition attacked us because they fear our technology," she said. "They believe if they destroy our research, they can keep control of interstellar travel through their jump gates. They don't realize that it's too late. We've already moved beyond what they can understand." Captain Lisa Gray of the UES Intrepid asked, "What exactly are we going to do, Commander?" "We're going to show them exactly what they're afraid of," Olivia replied. "But we won't strike first. This will be a demonstration only." Back on Earth, President Foster received Olivia's report with Colonel Gray Harrison, head of Special Operations, at her side. "The tests were completely successful," the President told him. "Commander Wright is preparing a demonstration that will make our position clear to the Coalition." "Will it be enough?" Harrison asked. "The Zentari are proud. They might see any show of force as provocation for full-scale war." "Perhaps," Foster agreed. "But they need to understand that attacking our colonies has consequences, and they need to know that their control of the jump gates no longer gives them power over us." In deep space, the human fleet prepared for their mission. Engineers worked to install the modified drives on all ships. Weapons systems were checked and rechecked. Soldiers trained for possible combat. And at the center of it all, Olivia Wright plotted humanity's counter-strategy. The Coalition had tried to keep humans contained, controlled through the limited access to jump gates. Now they would learn that humanity could not be caged. The universe was about to witness humanity's true potential, and it would never forget the lesson. High Commander Corlin of the Zentari Defense Force stood on the bridge of his flagship. His scaled skin shimmered under the blue lights as he studied the reports from the Mars attack. The operation had been successful. The human research facility was destroyed, along with their lead scientists. The Coalition could rest easy knowing the dangerous human technology was gone. "Commander," his aide approached cautiously, "the Council is ready for your report." Corlin nodded. In a few hours, the human deadline would expire. They would have no choice but to surrender their remaining technology. The natural order would be restored. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Sir, unknown ship detected in orbit," the sensor officer shouted. "It wasn't there a moment ago." Corlin rushed to the main screen. A sleek black vessel hung in space directly above the Zentari homeworld. It had appeared without warning. No jump signature, no approach vector. "Impossible," Corlin whispered. Then more alarms sounded. "Sir, we're detecting identical ships above Helios Prime. Gala, Trinar, Voss, Quotal, and Merida." Corlin's blood turned cold. Those were all the homeworlds of the 7 Coalition species. Somehow, the humans had placed their ships in orbit around every major world simultaneously. "Open a channel," he ordered, his voice shaking. The screen flickered, and a human female appeared. Her dark eyes were hard, her face showing no emotion. "This is Commander Olivia Wright of the United Earth Fleet," she said. "What you are witnessing is a small demonstration of human capability." On the UES Defiance, Olivia stood tall as she delivered humanity's message. Every homeworld in the Coalition was seeing the same broadcast, from ships that hadn't existed in their skies seconds before. "Your forces attacked a peaceful research facility on Mars," she continued. 37 humans were killed, including civilians. "You believe destroying our research would keep humanity contained." She paused, letting the silence hang heavy. "You were wrong. As you can see, we no longer need your jump gates. We can appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We could have appeared inside your defense perimeters. We chose not to." Admiral Garcia stepped into view beside her. "This is Admiral Frank Garcia. You will note that our weapon systems remain powered down. This is not an attack. This is a demonstration of what happens when you threaten humanity." On the Centauri flagship, Corlin watched in horror as his tactical officer reported the findings. "Sir, all 7 ships appeared at exactly the same moment. Our defense networks detected nothing until they were already there." Another officer spoke up. "Our weapons can't lock onto them. They're flickering somehow, as if they're not fully in one place." Corlin felt his world crumbling around him. For 1,000 years, the Centauri had controlled the stars through their monopoly on the jump gates. Now these humans had found a way to bypass them completely. "Sir," the communications officer said, "we're receiving reports from all Coalition worlds. Their people are panicking. There are calls for immediate surrender to the humans." Back on the Defiance, Olivia gave the final part of humanity's message. "The Coalition has 48 hours to agree to new terms. We demand justice for the attack on Mars. We demand recognition of Earth's sovereignty. And we demand the right to travel freely through Coalition space without restriction." She leaned closer to the camera. "Know this. We do not seek war. We seek partnership based on mutual respect. But we will not be threatened, and we will not be controlled." With that, she gave the signal to cut the transmission. "Prepare for Phase 2, she told the crew. All around her, the bridge officers worked at their stations, preparing the fleet for the final part of their demonstration. "All ships report ready, Commander," said the communications officer. Olivia nodded. "Execute." In a blink, all 7 human ships vanished from the skies of the Coalition worlds, leaving no trace they were ever there. On the Centauri flagship, pandemonium broke out. "They're gone," shouted the sensor officer. All 7 ships gone simultaneously. Corlin slumped into his command chair. The humans could strike anywhere, at any time, without warning. Their entire defense strategy was useless. "Send a message to the Council," he said quietly. Tell them we need to reconsider our position on the humans." 1 week after the demonstration, the Great Hall of the Earth Government headquarters in Geneva was filled with tension. The same Coalition delegates who had stormed out of peace talks now sat quietly across the table. Behind them stood their security officers, looking nervous and out of place. President Foster entered the room, followed by Commander Olivia Wright and Admiral Garcia. No one spoke as they took their seats. "Thank you for returning to negotiations," President Foster said. Her voice was calm but firm. "I believe we can find a path forward that benefits all our peoples." The Centauri representative, Ambassador Kelter, shifted uncomfortably. His silver scales caught the light as he leaned forward. "The Coalition has reconsidered its position," he said. The usual pride was gone from his voice. "We are prepared to discuss new terms." Olivia watched the aliens carefully. Just days ago, they had been threatening Earth with isolation. Now they sat like scolded children, afraid of humanity's power. President Foster nodded to her aide, who distributed digital tablets to each delegate. "These are our terms. They are not negotiable." The aliens read silently. Olivia knew what the document contained. Humanity demanded justice for the Mars attack, freedom to travel without restriction through Coalition space, and recognition as full and equal partners in the galactic community. You ask for the attackers of your Mars facility to be turned over to human justice, Ambassador Kelter said. Yes, President Foster replied. 37 lives were taken. There must be accountability. The Gala representative, a small being with 4 arms, spoke next. And what of your technology? Will you share the secrets of your new drive system? Olivia leaned forward. We will share our technologies gradually with appropriate safeguards. Partnership requires trust. Trust that was broken when you attacked our research facility. For 3 hours, they discussed the terms. The coalition representatives grew less tense as they realized humanity was not seeking revenge or domination. Finally, Ambassador Keltar asked the question that had been on all their minds. Why not use your power to take control? You clearly have the ability to bypass all our defenses. President Foster smiled slightly. That is not who we are. Humanity does not seek dominance. We seek partnership, but partnership requires respect. Olivia thought of her brother. Nathan had died to protect Earth, but he had always believed in cooperation, not conflict. She spoke up, her voice strong. My brother was the lead scientist on the Drive project. Before he died, he told me that the technology could bring our species closer together, not drive us apart. Faster travel means more trade, more cultural exchange, more understanding between different worlds. The room was silent as her words sank in. We misjudged humanity, Ambassador Kelter said finally. We saw your rapid advancement as a threat. We did not consider that you might use your power with restraint. That was your mistake, Admiral Garcia said. Humanity has always been capable of both great destruction and great compassion. We choose the latter when given the chance. Later that day, as the delegates prepared to depart, Olivia stood by the window overlooking Lake Geneva. Admiral Garcia joined her. Do you think they'll honor the agreement? He asked. Olivia watched the alien ships preparing to leave Earth. They'll honor it because they understand us now. Humanity doesn't want war. We never did. But when pushed, we don't back down. We innovate. We adapt. And sometimes, that's the most frightening thing of all. The next morning, President Foster signed the new accord in a public ceremony. The document was titled simply, Terms of Mutual Respect and Cooperation. The first line read, having recognized the unique capabilities and contributions of all signatory species. As the coalition representatives added their signatures, Olivia thought of Nathan. He would have been proud to see this day, the beginning of a new era of peaceful cooperation between Earth and the stars. The universe had awaited humanity's next move, and humanity had chosen to extend a hand rather than make a fist, but it was a hand backed by undeniable strength.